Hello, everyone. Welcome back, and thank you again for joining us for our Advisicon webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Project Team Storming, a project manager's guide to managing team dynamics. Here at Advisicon, our amazing team of trainers, developers, and technology consultants want to help you maximize your productivity and impact, and we do that through a blend of technology and methodology consulting. Our mission is to deliver technology, tools, and training to maximize impact, productivity, and purpose. Advisicon has been providing project, program, and portfolio management consulting, as well as training services for over 25 years. We're a Microsoft Gold partner and experts in the Microsoft stack. Give us a call to schedule a free 30-minute consultation. A little bit about myself. My name is Sean, and I'll be your presenter today. I am a project advisor and academy trainer. I do have a background in math education. I'm a project management professional, and I hold a CAPM, a Certified Associates in Project Management as well. The term storming comes from TUCKMAN'S stages of group development. We'll take a flyover of the stages and ask, why should we even care to know this? Then we'll take a deep dive into the storming stage. Why is this even happening? What are some of the observable behaviors in this stage? And what should be the role of the project manager in the storming stage? We want to equip project managers with the tools and techniques to navigate this storm. We'll even look at my favorite technique when responding to a critical situation, and that is prevention. Instead of being reactive, how can we be proactive even before the situation arises? Prevention is not a catch-all, but hopefully you'll see the benefit of having put tools in place before they're needed, much like a fire extinguisher is put in your kitchen before a fire ever starts. And then we'll put it all together. We'll summarize and offer some concluding thoughts about how a project manager can be more effective in the area of group dynamics. Looking at the quote on the screen, it says, "Human accomplishments result from the reciprocal influences of external circumstances, a host of personal determinants, including endowed potentialities, acquired competencies, reflective thought, and a high level of self-initiative." That quote comes from the one who has designed our model, Bruce Tuckman. Let's go a little deeper with Tuckman. Tuckman was a American psychological researcher, and he coined the terms of group dynamics as forming, storming, norming, and performing. Now, those were the classic four stages, but then in 1977, he added the closing stage of adjourning. And Tuckman's legacy still lives on with our understanding of group dynamics. All right. Why should we even care about Tuckman stages? First thing we want to understand is that high-performing groups aren't born. Okay, it doesn't just happen. It can happen easily, but if you've ever been around people who are not you, you'll quickly see that people are so diverse, right? Even people who grew up in the same household can have significant differences in personality, from mild-mannered to abrasive. So Tuckman's stages help us understand, these things, great groups don't just happen. Productivity best productivity for a group, it doesn't just happen. It takes time, as it says down here. Group dynamics take time. It's not nurtured, or it is not nature, rather, it is nurtured for a high-performing group to come together. Also, language, sometimes this abstract idea of group dynamics, it becomes more understandable when we put into a concrete chunk, when we give language to the parts. See, all these are different stages, and we'll talk more about them, but all the stages of Tuckman's model help us to understand, okay, where are we in the group development stage, and what's next, and how can I get there, right? Now let's go and take a brief overview of each stage. All right, let's start with forming. It's at the beginning of the stage. Examine the productivity level. It's somewhat, midway of the productivity level of this group, and that's right at the beginning of time. What's some behaviors you can expect to see from the group? Well, there's definitely going to be excitement. uh, the start of something, and the idea of being selected to put your skills to use in this project, that's got to evoke some excitement out of the project team. The project team, they're going to be generally polite. Maybe they know each other, maybe they don't, but it's just formal introductions, a lot of professionalism involved. The team is assessing one another. They're trying to see, all right, what's your role? What's my role? How can, how are we going to get along? So they're sizing up one another. Now, what can the project manager do in this area to maximize this stage? Provide the mission and vision. Okay, why are we here? Let's understand that. R&R in this case does not stand for rest and relaxation. Rather, it stands for roles and responsibilities. Help everyone understand what's their role. Groups are generally intuitive, and they can say, all right, based on your title, your skill, this is what you're doing, you're doing. But helping it to be more clear is what the project manager can do. Camaraderie. It's a new group. You got to help give them opportunity, give them time, give them space to get to know each other. Usually do things like icebreakers, ways to get to know each other, at least bridge that stranger gap so that now they know they're part of a project team. The next stage is storming, and that is the focus of our webinar today. And we'll go more depth, but just to lightly touch on the storming stage, look at the productivity. It is at its possible lowest in the life cycle of the team. It's at its lowest because these behaviors of stress, doubt, and then the actions of division start to come out. People are stressed for various reasons, doubts come in, and we'll unpack this a little bit more. I know the important thing that we want to know is, so what do we do about it as a project manager? How do we provide guidance and leadership through that? And we'll explore that more in depth. All right, continue on with the life cycle. We got norming. Observable behaviors include a culture starting to form. People are starting to have their own language. Inside jokes come about. At this point, constructive criticism can happen. People should be able to feel that they can speak freely to offer feedback and again, the idea is of product improvement, project deliverable improvement. The group itself is meeting the milestones. They are performing well, even though it's called norming, but they're starting to meet the milestones. All right, what can the project manager do? Give the team some autonomy. At the beginning of the group dynamic, the leader has to hold a lot of responsibility. But at this point, we're starting to release responsibility. Say, let the team define things. Let the team discover what works best for them. And yet, almost the polar opposite of that, governance. The team does know what works best for them, and they want to put that in writing. Let's say this is the best practice to do. All right, we've agreed on it, we've tried it, we've experimented. This is the best practice. That's the governance around it. The project manager can also help to measure progress and say, here's where we are towards the goal, and here's maybe even our daily rate or our weekly rate toward progress towards the goal. This is just to provide some encouragement for the team, especially maybe the early stages of norming, because they're not quite they don't know how far we are to the goal yet and what does it look like. So that progress will help the team. Moving on to the next stage, performing. The productivity has increased as time has gone on, definitely reaching towards the high peak of the team's productivity level. What can you expect to see from the team? High satisfaction. Lots of smiles, lots of feel goods, low stress, low work stress, definitely, because the team is a well-oiled machine. They know what works. They put the parts in place. Things are running smooth. There's R&R again. Again, not rest and relaxation, rather roles and responsibilities. Everyone knows what everyone's doing. You can almost see high productivity to the point where people are anticipating one another. They're like, maybe to the point where they can say, all right, today I'm expecting this to happen. And it does. The team can just feel one another and know what each other needs even. What can the project manager do to help along the stage? Celebrate those wins. Revisit the idea like, hey, team, we're here today, and we used to be here as strangers at the beginning, or maybe even lower. We were. Remember those conflict days? Let's celebrate that we're no longer there, that our team has gelled together. Look for opportunities of continuous improvement. As a project manager, you don't have to demand the continuous improvement. Rather, just highlight, document, write, point out all the areas of improvement for, again, just that little incremental improvements. Just how can we do a little bit better, a little bit better, a little bit better. At this point, the project manager is very less hands-on and more of in the role of a servant leadership. You feed and care your team. You remove impediments that for their progress. You are really fading into the back and letting them work and just providing, tending to their needs. All right, and the final stage, adjourning. The team has been at its peak productivity, and notice the Tuckman's model points to it actually going to drop off. The productivity will start to drop off after we hit the adjourning stage. The project team knows that, all right, we are forecasted to finish in 2 weeks' time, and after 2 weeks' time, here's what's going to happen. So the team starts to experience maybe grief and or relief. Relief that, oh, this project was a big monster and now we've achieved it. But then at the same time, grief. Wow, I've been on a journey with these people, and really I've worked myself out of this job. We're not going to work together possibly ever again. So those feelings start to come around. The team can feel definitely accomplished. Looking back again towards that beginning stage, wow, how far we have come. And as mentioned already, the productivity slows down. For various reasons. One, probably mostly that they know this is going to end. There's a stop at this point, and so there's less motivation. So what can a project manager do? Acknowledge those feelings. It's okay. You know, understandable. We've had a great time. Allow space for feelings to be expressed at your daily stand-ups, for example, and your meetings. At this point, you do need to move again to a little more responsibility. I coin it the servant to shepherd. You actually have to keep a team on track again because that productivity has dropped, right? We're almost back to maybe 3 months ago, 2 months ago, depending on time. So as a leader, you need to recognize that and say, all right, stay on the goals, stay on the goals. We're slipping here. So it may require more work from the project manager to step into that shepherding role. To get started with this next section, here's a quote from Margaret Heffernan saying that for good ideas and true innovation, you need human interaction, conflict, argument, debate. And I want to, again, take some time to understand storming. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, thunderstorms help transfer the negative charges back to Earth. Lightning is generally negatively charged. So without thunderstorms and lightning, the Earth and its atmosphere, the balance between the Earth and atmosphere would disappear in 5 minutes. That balance would be done in 5 minutes. So storms, these bring the negative charges back to Earth, and it serves a purpose of balance. Just because project team storming happens, don't panic. It's a useful, I'm going to say it again, it's a useful part of the group dynamic process. Just again, as mentioned, lightning helps to restore the balance of charges to Earth. Project storming also serves a benefit. We've previously touched on observable behaviors when the team is in the storming phase, and we'll take a closer look at the role of the project manager as well as techniques. But before we do that, let's examine the reason behind these behaviors. All right. According to one survey, 86% of employees and executives say that the lack of effective collaboration and communication is the main cause for workplace failures. It's hard to believe, but with all the forms of communication, in person, virtual, chat, email, the clarity of sending and receiving messages really has not become any more well-defined. And it's not surprising that a group who has not spent much time interacting with one another, they're going to be challenged. And 86% of people say that's the reason for workplace failures, communication. So understand that some of the conflict comes from communication. Also, there's styles. I know people who are very long-winded in their messages, and I want to say, get to the point. Maybe you know somebody like that. Maybe you are that somebody. And there are others who respond to my very detailed messages with just, okay. Really, that's all? You know, so we have different styles in communication, long details or hardly any. And wouldn't it be nice if everyone came with a sign that said, this is how I communicate? Or better yet, this is how I communicate when I'm stressed. Right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about conflict. So how does that impact my communication style? At the heart of the matter is the anxiety and worry about not being able to trust. That's what the concern here is, trust this group of strangers. According to Patrick Lencioni at the Table Group, trust is the foundation of a cohesive team. People need to know that they can safely put forward their unique, off the wall, or even clearly obvious ideas and not be ridiculed. The team needs to know that just because their ideas are critiqued, you are still welcomed in this community called our project team. The exchange of ideas is communication. If the communication is the cause of stress, there's decreased productivity. The team is focused on peer-to-peer dynamic and less concerned about peer-to-work. When a new project starts, it is the beginning of an endeavor. At many beginnings, you will find chaos. Remember, and when I refer to chaos, I mean it's like the yin to the yang of order. Maybe similar software has been built before, but not for this client. Maybe you've worked with this client before, but now you have a new team member. That uniqueness, again, I'll stress uniqueness, leaves questions and doubts about how things are supposed to be ordered. Project managers, we must be gluttons for punishment because we stand in front of chaos, put procedure to the process, get the work done thoroughly through a beautifully working project team, only have to start again with another load of chaos. And the project team, they feel this chaos around specifically the process as well. They don't fully understand the rhythm of the project work. How do I use this new software? Or what's the order of the steps again? And thinking about peer to work or peer to peer, who can I trust for help? And with that said, a question the team asks is, what are the roles and responsibilities? I mentioned R&R before. What am I responsible to do? Who passes work to me, and then who do I pass work to? I'm sure we can all relate to a time when we were responsible for something, but yet didn't fully understand it. Humans, we crave order. Order makes events predictable and therefore able to be managed. When the work that I am responsible for is unclear and chaotic, that causes stress towards the work and possibly into my work relationships as well. Again, thinking about peer to work and peer to peer. Can you imagine, here's an example for you, what chaos would there be if the sunrise and sunset differed drastically day to day? How would that affect farmers, crops, the supplies needed for the day, and not to mention our sleep habits? But so now contrast that chaos with the order. What comfort comes when we know that around 6 or 7 a.m., the sky will get somewhat brighter and we can plan our days accordingly, and that around 8 or 9 p.m., the sky will get somewhat darker. So again, stressing the idea that chaos leads to doubts, is connected with doubts, and specifically the chaos on how am I supposed to do my work and what am I responsible for. All right, to conclude this area about the deep dive on storming, remember that there's basically two areas of storming needs. Peer-to-peer, the relationships between one another. Can I trust this group? When it comes to communication, what are they even trying to say? It does take a lot more energy to decode their message and then to compose a message that they can understand. Another stressor, peer to work. What are we doing again? What am I supposed to do? How do I even do that? Do I have the right skills? Maybe I'm not supposed to be here. Just remember, as a PM, this is your lowest productivity area, and you can start to do some doomsday thinking. Oh no, we're not going to hit our KPIs. I'm going to have to babysit this team, and I'm going to get fired. It's just a phase. Again, don't panic. It is a phase. It can come around. It can come around again, but probably not to the same low level. But remember, it is a phase, so it will end. Understand that the team is figuring things out. How do I fit in with the people? How do I fit in with the work? And I want to emphasize prepare. As I mentioned at the intro of our webinar today, a good project manager will prepare for the storm. Prepare that it will come, prepare to ride it out, prepare to be the confident anchor to your team that says, we'll get through this. All right, I will now want to get into the meat of things. Let's talk about tools and techniques. The first tool I'd like to offer is called the Team Charter. It's a document that defines the formal organization of a body, in this case, the project team. There's 4 main areas that I will focus on: values, mission, goal, and operating agreement. I'd like to point out that this is a pre-storm activity. So this is again my favorite idea of prevention. The team charter is done before the storming stage, so more in the forming stage. Let's dive deeper into each of these 4 areas. All right, first, the values statement. What are we supposed to get out of a value statement? Characteristics and traits. Values are often confused with goals. A goal is to be successful, for example. But characteristics or traits are things like respect, professionalism, workplace appropriate humor. What you can do with your team is to give them a prompt and say, here, 3 characteristics of people I admire are, or 3 qualities I most appreciate in a coworker are, or 3 traits in people that irritate me. Go for the opposite end. What I don't want. These are do's. These are don'ts. Don't do this one. So you can get people to really start to think about their values and how we can incorporate that into this project team. Look at some examples here. We will fearlessly contribute our thoughts and ideas to the team. When ideas conflict, we will solve the problem and not the person. We will kindly help our teammates when they ask for assistance. Again, look at those traits: contributors, solvers, helpers. So those are values there. Next section, it's a mission statement. This is focused on not the project mission, but rather the team focused chemistry. How are we, as a team, going to contribute to the organization? Again, not project mission, but the team mission, the chemistry around the team. Some questions you can prompt the group with is, what can we do to uniquely affect the success of a project? Wow, isn't that empowering? What are we doing as a unit? And what will make this team memorable? What will they say? Oh, that team? Yeah, that was us. We started that. Here's some examples of mission statements. We will be an example to the rest of the organization on thoroughness of documentation. Again, we're going to be an example and say, this is how you can document well. We will set a high watermark on the stakeholder satisfaction survey. Maybe your org does that, and you say, we're going to be higher than ever before. We will take time to communicate thoroughly as both senders and receivers by checking that the message is repeated. So again, the organization is going to look at this team and say, wow, that team was known for this mission. Next section, the goal statement. The goal statement, all these can be synonymous, right? It's like missions, goals, aren't those the same? Well, to be distinct, the goal is your measures of success. How do you know that you are working towards your values, towards your mission? For example, you can have short-term or long-term goals. In the short term, maybe you want to say these are daily or weekly goals. Here's an example: we will work when it's time to work. We will play when it's time to play, and that can be visibly seen on a daily basis. In a long-term goal, maybe let's say, okay, what do we want to happen at project N? I think this is so sweet. We will want to work with each other again. That's how we're going to conduct ourselves so that we want to work with each other again. All right, that's 3 out of the 4 areas of the team charter. The 4th area I want to examine is the operating agreement. This area is explicit do's and don'ts. We've moved from a high level to now very granular, very clear, almost rules, you might think of them as. The prompt you can give your group is, what do we need to give to or get from each other in order to do our individual jobs, right? We're getting very granular. So you prompt with that, and then you can say, all right, here's different areas of where we're going to be interacting. We'll be interacting meetings, communication, and just daily courtesies. So what do we need to give or get from each other in the area of meetings? And so you can say, meetings, they need to start and stop on time. I'm so bugged when meetings go over time. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to operate with meetings starting and stopping on time. Furthermore, for the meetings, agendas must be included. I don't want to walk into a meeting and I don't understand what's going to happen. Include the agenda. Again, very explicit do's. Further, communication. Never assume. Always ask questions. Okay, so everyone, this is what we're going to do for each other. This is what we're going to give to each other, is non-assumptions. Courtesies, adhere to work hours. Please don't send me communications after work hours. And also assume everyone is speaking for the good of the project. Wouldn't that be nice to say, everyone, when someone says something and it sounds like direction, it's for the good of the project. So understand that that's why we're doing this. We are here for the project, not to change people. To conclude this area of the team charter, again, this is a tool, a very good preventative tool. This defines the organization of the formal organization of the body, the project team. I suggest you sign it, you show it, so that the team buys in, right? We agree to it. We're going to put it on display, but don't forget it. Now recite it. Have it maybe mentioned daily, maybe one area that says, remember, this is what we agreed to because we signed it. This becomes the code of the team's culture. You really are building a culture here as a project manager. It is a document so that you can point to when the storm comes. Remember, there is chaos in the storm, but this team charter defines or anchors us of how we are to conduct ourselves when it's chaotic. That's the benefit of the team charter. We're now just going to look at this one page on techniques in the storm. And I'm referring to it as the 3 A's of techniques in the storm. The first A is awareness of team dynamics. Remember that, and you remember, project manager, you remember that team dynamics, they go through that cycle that Tuckman has defined, but you share that now with the team. When the storm happens, say, all right, team, here's where we're at. This is the storming part. It's good. It's okay. There's benefit from here. We will get through this, right? So just make the team aware of where they're at. Secondly, active listening. One of the things you said as a team is we will focus on the problem, not people. And you as a project manager will do the same. You will listen. You will say, okay, I hear you talking about this component, and Bob, you're talking about component A. Carol, you're talking about component C. You guys aren't even on the same page. That's the problem. That's the miscommunication there. So project manager, active listening. Be very intentional on hearing the team. Last A, awaken the team charter. Bring back that preventative tool of the team charter. For example, you can say, hey guys, remember, when ideas conflict, we will solve the problem, not the person. We will take time to communicate thoroughly as both senders and receivers by checking that the message is repeated. We will want to work with each other again. And hey, here's the problem. The meetings are not starting on time. Remember, we said we will start and stop on time. Again, technique goes back to the tool. All right, to give a summary, or maybe a stormery in this case, Tuckman's model shows us that storming is normal, or maybe in this case, we'll say it's stormal. It's actually part of the life cycle of a group. So It's okay that it happens. Just understand that it is happening. Again, the benefits of the storming process is that the team is figuring out their peers and their work. It's bumpy, and that's why it should be called a storm, but it's an opportunity to try, fail, and learn. Again, we're trying to get the team to the high productivity, so let them work it out between each other, between the work, and there's a benefit for that. I presented the team charter. I presented some techniques. Which one was your favorite tool or technique? Please add comments. Let us know what tools or techniques did you find helpful, and which ones are you going to try? The biggest technique: don't panic, prepare. Storming, it's stormal, normal. All right, project manager, I want to give you some mindset tips on how to prepare for the life cycle of your group. One, enact the form. Secondly, embrace the storm. Okay, it's a natural part and it has a lot of benefits. Third, when it comes on, enjoy the norming. Yes, we've made it through the storm. Celebrate that. Ecstatically perform. So even greater celebration. We are a fine-tuned machine, well performing. And just be aware that you're going to eventually adjourn. Thank you again for watching this webinar. Please feel free to reach out with any questions, like or follow us on social media platforms, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We offer many free trainings in our online academy. You can access those by visiting advisicon.thinkific.com. For project managers, simply join our Advisicon Academy. You can receive a code to redeem PDUs. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.